Thank you everyone for joining this session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining this session from. I'm hosting this session from Bangalore, a city in the south of India, also known as the Silicon Valley of India. It's about 5:30 p.m. Right now. I'm Syamanthaka, and I've spent most of my career in tech, writing code, designing systems, building products. But in parallel to all that, there has always been another thread running through my life, which has been writing. From writing simple poetry, blog, essays, and articles, I even managed to tick one small item from my bucket list by authoring a small book and self-published it on Amazon Kindle. Uh, so having got the opportunity to host this session on Medium Day themed Just Start Writing, I'd like to share how writing became more than just a habit and how it turned into a way of debugging my own head, especially when life and work sometimes gets messy. But no, I'm not, going to talk about how you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start writing some dear diary or some perfect prose. I'm going to talk about how even a typo-filled or a grammatically error-filled writing still works much better than anything else. So here's the plan. We'll start with me, my side of the story, why, what, how I wrote, and then we'll get into the bigger picture, why writing matters, what you could write about, and how to actually make it happen. And by the end, it flips over to you because this talk isn't just about my journey. It's about what you can take back from this session today and try out for yourself. I will leave some time at the end for questions. So please do jot down anything that you'd like to ask. But if you wish, you may ask as we go along as well. So let me begin by talking about the fact that my mom had this little trick to get me interested in reading, and in every single day of my life, I've been grateful to her for that. Every night she used to read just a few pages from this book called Little Red Riding Hood. Has anyone read it? Yeah, the dramatic wolf, the chatty girl, the mother who told not to deviate from the path, the old grandma, they all used to come alive in her voice. And then, she'd stop right at the thrilling point, and I'd be left curious, wanting to know what happens next, but also sleepy enough to drift off and dream about these characters. But she never, got tired of reading them to me because every single time, every single bedtime, I actually wanted that book. And that's how stories first pulled me in. Actually, the picture that you see in this slide is in fact the very book. Yes, it's almost as old as I am, and it still sits on the shelf right behind me. I started reading on my own soon enough. Her trick actually worked. I had to know what happened next. And when she stopped reading at the climax in the pretext of having some work to do, I had to read myself. And interestingly, mom had one condition that I had to write a short summary before I could return the book to the library or get another new one from her. And at first, what I had to write was just the moral of the story. So, for example, what is the moral of, say, Little Red Riding Hood? At that age, yes, it's about not talking to strangers. Take the story of Beauty and the Beast. Don't judge anyone for their looks, be kind to everyone, and so on, right? Then it became from just the moral of the story to 100-word page. Later, it grew into my perspective of the book, what I thought of the characters, the choices they made. And as I grew older and moved to more complex books like The Little Women, the writing also grew with me. As a teenager, I began keeping a diary, again, thanks to my mom, who always encouraged me to put my thoughts and feelings into words. Over time, that diary turned into my first blog. Everything that touched me, big or small, found a place there. Hardly anyone read it, sometimes no one at all, but that didn't matter. My blog was called Pensive, inspired by Dumbledore's pensive in Harry Potter. Writing there helped me move from just expressing feelings to truly articulating those feelings, right? And around the same time, I began writing essays, papers, presentations for work, and that kind of forced me to structure my thoughts to make them clear enough for others to also understand. Now, I wasn't just writing for myself anymore. I was writing for the world, whether it was tech or not. And as my career took off, writing turned into a superpower. It was no longer just about documenting thoughts. I was writing architecture documents, strategy notes, transformation stories, words that once helped me make sense of the world words that were just about my feelings, were now shaping how others saw it. And it wasn't just about an expression anymore; it was more about an influence. And I can say I could move people, I could move projects, even entire organizations through the way I framed an idea. Now, at work, emotions don't always have a space, or that's what they say, right? You can't always say what you feel in a meeting, or you can't always say what you think to your boss. For me, Medium became that outlet. I started writing about what leaders must not do, because honestly, the internet already has too many lists of what leaders should actually do, right? Venting on the page turned my frustration sometimes into something useful. In fact, just yesterday, I published a small piece about what this very concept of emotion, kindness, etc. means with respect to the workplace. And over time, that venting shifted into reflection. I began noticing patterns. How was I working? Where was my energy leaking? What was actually giving me joy? And I realized that it wasn't burnout that was attacking me per se. It was about me finally listening to myself, my innermost thoughts. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't just journaling anymore. Writing was helping me to debug myself, right? So from a tech perspective, every sentence that I was writing felt like I was stepping through a messy code base, kind of isolating the error, tracing what is the root cause, sometimes even realizing that the bug wasn't in the system, but in my assumptions, right? And with each piece that I wrote, the noise in my head started quieting down. And sometimes when it was getting very overwhelming because of just one tiny loop running wild, writing helped me to separate that, the real problem from my imaginary ghosts that I was chasing, probably. Now, writing for me now spans quite a lot of spectrum. Some days it's about very deep technical work. Some days it is about leadership or mental health at work. I also care a lot about diversity and inclusion, and I have written plenty of even corporate lessons that I have lived through firsthand. Then there are, of course, the more personal pieces, travel stories, blogs, even interpretations of mythology and epics. So writing has become this broad playground where every side of me can find a voice. And I also write on a lot of different platforms, thus, keeping each of the facets distinct and neatly organized, if I may say so. At first, writing was just a survival mechanism for me, but then, something unexpected happened. People started coming back to me after reading my articles and saying, you know what, that's exactly what I was feeling. But I could put it into words. And that's when this clicked that this isn't, only about what I was thinking. Writing could be giving a voice to others as well, right? And maybe this isn't about, when you're burnt out, it's not about taking a break or booking a holiday or something like that. What we really need is a language to actually name what is it that is affecting us, frame it, and start to work with it. And the fact that someone else is also able to get some relief by just reading through what I wrote and go, oh, yes, that's so true. Or, no wonder I felt what I did. Or, okay, at least I'm not alone or the only one doing this. Or, I didn't think of that. Maybe that is what I tried. Or if not any of this, simply start observing more about the small things around them. So, how do I write? Sometimes I look at a detailed, structured approach, but most of the time it is just about articulating what I feel, what I think, just freely. And there is this one big question that people often ask me: should I use AI to write an entire article? My simple answer is no, not for writing the complete text, because artificial intelligence or a chat bot wouldn't have experienced what your conscience or what your conscious intelligence has experienced, right? What are the deepest feelings that you have? What are your truest thoughts? But yes, if you use AI as a peer review or as a friend reviewing your work critically, that is the right balance that you could use. This actually helps in avoiding controversial statements or something that might hurt sentiments before you publish straight away. I sometimes use AI to give me a critical overview of my tone, just to make sure that I'm not, causing any hurt of any feelings. Or sometimes I also use it for specific research pointers that I'm interested in. If I'm especially looking at tech topics or articles that I want to drill deeper into, depending on the topic that I'm writing. Okay, so did any of you have some questions at this point? Or would you rather I go through? Okay. So now the question that you would be asking is, why should you write, right? Is it that every one of us should become writers or authors? No, that's not the point. But if you do, I would be more than happy to hear that some of you all have become authors. It is a way of untangling what is on your mind, giving a different dimension to the emotions that you have. And sometimes writing it all down can even give you relief from that immediate situation. Now, this is something that I have found many of my friends and colleagues finding benefit from, just writing down at a moment, which gives you clarity where you can see what you have written. And of course, socially speaking, someone else might benefit from your words when they read it too. Again, not to mention, if you were to look at the word cloud on the right, I'm sure you would resonate with the main possible outcomes of writing that are seen there, right? The primary areas could be even language improvement, of course, as I was mentioning, structured thoughts, energy channelization, making impacts. And of course, there are a lot of other benefits, maybe like maybe branding and networking in the professional field, and who knows, even fame and money, right? Now, the next question that might be on your mind is, what should I write about? The answer to that is very simple. Anything really. It is totally about what you feel the most. But on this slide, I have given some basic starters. Maybe they inspire you to move ahead from the writer's blog or what have you. You can start small if you've never written before and slowly build up. I'll take a pause here for a few seconds so that you can read or take a screenshot so that you can think about this later and maybe you can get inspired by it. Okay, you could even write about something as simple as a quiet evening that you spent at home, or you could write about that fancy meal that you had. Some contrasts, right? Doesn't matter what you write as long as you aren't hurting anybody. I cannot emphasize that enough. And I would say don't really sweat too much about getting started. Just write one sentence or half a line of that thought. Now, this is something I also try a lot with some of my language, students. When I teach certain languages, when I'm looking at a speaking exercise where they are expected to speak something, I don't let them write the entire sentences, but just these random words that they want to use, and then start to frame out their thought or the topic that they're going to talk about. So just try to write those small words here and there, and then slowly try to push towards what is it that you're trying to convey. And initially, don't worry about polishing it or making it too fancy. Just try to gather your thoughts, even the words that are coming to your mind at that instant. Now, what you could do next is to connect it with those quotes or something that you've heard before, some anecdotes, and then steadily build the narrative. Maybe something what your grandparent told you sometime, or something you read somewhere, or some poster which caught your attention. Maybe you heard something in a podcast, and then try continuing how that particular element touched a chord within you, and how you're able to bring this to the context for something that you wish to express. And as you write, you will start to see what is it that really interests you the most and what you wish to send out to the world as well, because it's not just about you reading it, someone else is also definitely going to read it at some point, and what you want to convey is something that you would have to start thinking about and clarify. And with that, I come to the main element of what I'd really like to convey to all of you and inspire you. Sometimes it is a loop of an unspoken thought that can brew or stew and make it overcooked, unbearable sometimes. And giving them a means to be expressed reduces that loop. Sometimes, actually, rather, most often, writing isn't even writing, and even any other form of expression can be a means to survive. It can be a means to withstand and express and move forward from there. And sharing your words can prove, in fact, to be what someone else is also looking for, really. So I would use the golden words of the theme of Medium Day 2025, which is just right. And before we wrap up, I'd also like to say this. You don't need any fancy tools or outlets to write. Even if it is at the back of a one-sided paper that is no longer in use, or a Word document that maybe won't even see the online world. I even know of someone who's told me about saving all of their Word documents in the recycle bin of their computer. That's perfectly fine. Whatever feels natural to you, whatever is the best tool for you. And I'd like to repeat this one thing. It's not about perfection. It's just about allowing your mind to breathe and have that space. Oh, and I would regret it if I didn't mention, just read as well, because the more you read, the more you can write. So I'm now very happy to take any questions that anybody may have. So I think you all can unmute if you so prefer. Are there any questions on the chat? I think there's a question from Art Beecher. The internet is forever. I worry that what I write might be used against me later, like in a job interview. But being genuine seems important to good writing. It's a very, very interesting question. That's why I always emphasize that you need to be a little careful, especially if you know that the audience that audience of your work is are potential employers or even people who may contact you for work. So in that case, you would have to find that right balance between authenticity and not wanting to hurt any sentiments or feelings of people. That's where I would typically tend to use an AI to monitor the tone and get a peer review after you've written what you want to write. And you could ask the bot to look at it very critically if what you're looking at is suitable for a job audience and things like that. I hope that answers your question. Raghavan has written that we can write our intentions and happy thoughts. That's really nice. Somebody's mentioned that they're very young, but that shouldn't stop you from writing. I've started writing from when I was maybe 2, 3 years old. So please don't let your age define anything, whether you're very young or very old. Please don't let anything be defined by your age. People don't want to read, they only want to watch and videos. That is true of a small generation of people, but there are a lot of us who really love reading and cannot imagine life without reading and books and things like that. But I would say if you want to keep it very crisp, what you could do is to appeal to the audience that you're trying to write and have different segments. So there is also the section where you can have a very small summary of what you're writing and get people to be interested by that bit. And if they like what they're reading, then they could continue reading the longer article. Of course, if you're looking at getting a wider audience to read what you're looking at, maybe you want to do a little bit of an audience analysis and write according to that particular area of focus. Somebody's asked about the genres to post on Medium. I think there is no specific genre that is the best or worst or any of those things. It's about what is what appeals to you the best and what type of audience you are targeting. There are people who read various kinds of articles and come to Medium for a lot of different things. Can you go back to the slide on how to write? Okay, I think you probably mean what should you write about on that slide right now. If you're experiencing a burnout, how is it possible to realign the focus with something that will know cause you more stress or burnout. So it's not about realigning the focus with something that doesn't work for you, but basically trying to articulate what is happening in your mind. When you write it down, you are able to see a little clearly, and maybe you might be able to see it from a third person point of view, and it at least helps you to reduce the intensity of the feeling that you're experiencing by putting it into words. Do try it out and see how it changes some things for you, and then slowly you would be able to channelize it better. I hope that helps, Alexander. uh, do you feel conflicted or anxious about writing your personal thoughts online in a blog? Yes, sometimes I do, but I make sure that I don't keep personal information, but rather things that can help somebody or things that do not hurt anyone. That is typically what I would want to put on a space where it is visible to a lot of people. Would our writing be bland if we were to adhere too much to political correctness? Yes, that's the right balance that we will have to look at. And it's not about making it too bland. It's about ensuring that what we're trying to convey isn't very personally focused, or pointing out to a specific individual, or writing something that could harm an individual's reputation or things like that. But more, how do you find value from your analysis of that situation, or how have you dealt with that, or where do you think people can benefit from by approaching certain things in a certain way? That would be what you would do. How do we engage more readers? I think that is a very interesting question. And this was something I was discussing with a cousin very recently. So there have been many, many months where I have had zero readers for some of my stories. But by just being consistent and keep on writing, irrespective of the people who are reading it, and more for my own happiness. And now I do see that a lot more people are reading, and there are even some posts of mine which have hit more than 1,000 views and things like that. So I think you shouldn't really worry about who's reading it, how many people are reading it, but just write, and definitely it's going to pay you back. I can't write more than 400 words on one thing. That's perfectly fine. Start with 400 words and then see which are those 400 words, which areas of those 400 words you want to elaborate on. Doesn't really have, there doesn't need to be a fixed number of words for what you write. It's absolutely fine. You could even write a 4-line poetry that expresses your happiness at seeing a flower blossom on your morning walk. Even that could be perfect enough to write. I would have not considered asking AI to do that. Okay. Do you narrow down to specific interest to write on Medium? So what I typically tend to do, Sachin, thank you for your question. I try to keep different blogs for writing different aspects. So if I'm writing something like a personal a travel blog, then I have my a space on Blogger. Or if I'm writing on something around mythology, I might use WordPress. I mean, it totally depends. So where you might want to separate that instead of having all kinds of writing on one single platform, so that you may have different audience coming to different blogs to see different sides of you, right? Not all of us have just one side. We have different interests. How do you find your target audience? That is a very interesting marketing question, I would say. Look at what you're trying to write, and look at people whom you admire in that particular area. See where are they writing, or look at where people who have a lot of fan followers in that particular audience, where are they writing, and maybe that would help you find where to write and whom to write for, depending on what you're writing. I can write short stories and novels, but I have not got any opportunity to earn. Well, you will have to look for research for areas where they are looking for ghost writers or things like that. If that is something that interests you, you could also submit your articles to competitions. Your short stories can go in for competitions. I would also say, try publishing a collection of your short stories or novels on Amazon. Kindle Direct Publishing is very easy, and you can do it on your own. But ensure that you've done some editing or take some help from your well-wishers to get your work edited before you publish on Kindle Direct Publishing, and then you can see how things change in your favor. How do you decide which thing to write first. Just as I said, just put your thoughts together on a piece of paper, and then you will be able to frame it. You will see what works in what order, so that it kind of flows. If you were to read it, what would be the way you would want to read it? So think about yourself reading your own article and what would appeal to you, and just go with that. Context on what I mean. Sorry, which question was that, Sue? Could you elaborate? You have to love reading in order to write well? Not really, but the more you read, the better perspectives you get, and you're able to see a broader picture about a lot of different things, a lot of different perspectives, and that could help you write better. What point do you recommend a reader for feedback versus AI? It's completely up to you. I don't even say that you should use AI or not use AI. That's completely up to you. My point was only about not using AI for generating your entire article, but rather as a reviewer if you don't have someone else to review it for you. Existential positive psychology. That's really nice to hear. I would definitely like to read some articles of yours. Why we put our raw thoughts into writing? That's the whole aspect of looking at it from your perspective and seeing whether it benefits others as well. Writing used as a weapon. Okay, that is a little scary. It's not, I would say refrain from using it to harm, but rather use it for the benefit, for the greater good. Would anybody rather like to, we have 3 minutes left. I think there are a lot many messages on the group, but if anybody would like to unmute and ask me directly, that is also perfectly fine. Would you suggest I focus on personal reflections or on movement-driven experiences? I think you would have to find what is it that makes the most sense to you. As I said, if it's helping you, it's working. That's all. So don't let anything specifically hold you back from publishing, as long as you are, happy about what has been the outcome. I think I have answered most of the questions, but if I have not, please do let me know. Okay, and that's my time. Thank you again sincerely for making the time. And I'm leaving you with my coordinates on LinkedIn. And also, of course, if you would like to connect with me professionally, and if you haven't already checked, do check out my Medium page where I write about some of the topics that I've mentioned earlier. Thank you very much for your time. Alma, I think you've raised your hand. Does it help?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I wanted to ask that how often should we publish on Medium, right, to have the kind of followers or readers we want?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So I would say it totally depends on the availability of time that you have and the quality that you're able to produce. So if you are able to write only once a week, but you're able to write a very good quality work, or even once a month, stick to that. It shouldn't be
Oh,
that you're trying to publish on a daily basis and end up not having the right quality that appeals to all your audience. And also
right.
finding that right balance so that your audience is not bombarded with an email every 2 hours that, oh, they've published an article. So finding that right balance is just see what, observe your stats and see how it's been working, and then slowly refine the frequency.
Thank you so much. Very helpful.
I think Ishita had some question.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, Ishita, we can hear you.
How to get views on our vlogs because I don't get much views.
Sorry, it's not very clear.
Hello,
Yes.
how to invite audience on our vlogs because I don't get so many views. I've been posting regularly.
Okay. So if you look at when on your article, there would be a share your link. You can share that link to people, and they would be able to view your article without any subscription. So try to share it to your friends and family through email, and then get them to be interested enough to subscribe to want to see your articles more.
Okay.
I think somebody else had a question, but we're also running out of time.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I wanted to confirm if you should only write about specific niches that you are in, or is it possible to write about everything that you're going through, wherever you think, and then also for like a specific niche?
Absolutely. So that's what I was talking about. So I do write. There are things that I write in a notebook which nobody gets to see. There are things that I write on a blog which very few people get information about or have access to. There are a few different types of public blogs that I write depending on the kind of work that I'm doing or the kind of audience that I'm looking for. So instead of having everything on one single platform, try to separate it so that you're able to write about everything that you want to write without worrying about the consequences of that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. This has been a very exciting day for me. Thank you so much.